and welcome back to Attract Joy and Abundance with Qigong. I'm Parisa Shelton, and we are absolutely thrilled by your responses to our first session. If you missed that session, make sure you go back and watch. We covered some very important topics on how to utilize Qigong in order to create more balance, stability, and abundance, joy, and freedom in your life. Now today, we're going to dive deeper into how Qigong provides practical tools to move from feeling stuck, anxious, or depressed to a state of overflow, abundance, peace, possibility, tapping into your highest potential. In a moment, let's get ready for the man, the mystery, Mr. Chris Shelton!
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much. Starting off when I was younger, I had to deal with the aftermath of growing up in complete dysfunction. I mean, I'm telling you, our house was crazy. I felt completely stuck. I had anxiety. I had depression. These two things were my constant companion along with other health issues. But what I discovered through the practice of Qigong was that Qigong is life-changing. We all have the power contained within ourselves to shift our mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual state through specific movements and breathing techniques, and that's what Qigong offers all of us. We have a saying according to classical Chinese medicine that stagnant Qi leads to depression. Flowing Qi leads to joy. Today I'm going to show you exactly how to get your Qi flowing again. So if you're somebody who feels stuck like how I did, this is the episode for you. Let me share what happens when Qi begins to flow. Guess what? First and foremost, if you have anxiety, anxiety starts to dissolve. If you have sleep issues, those sleep issues start to dissolve. The depression lifts. The other thing too is that you end up with mental clarity, energy that increases inside your body. Hope returns, our ability to have community, not wanting to isolate ourselves. Guess what? That all returns. And this is what has happened for the last few years, is that all the things that we've been bombarded with, from the pandemic to the elections to the fires here in LA, all kinds of stuff, personal stuff, family stuff, all that kind of stuff, that all affects our Qi, creates a stagnation of Qi, and some of those symptoms that I was talking about are the clinical manifestations that show up.
Wow, that was so profound. Thank you for sharing those insights. Now, can you give us a few specific examples of someone who's made this type of transformation? I mean, I know that you've changed, but let's hear from some of the people that you've worked with.
Okay, so first and foremost, what comes to my mind is Christine Castillo. She runs our clinic up in San Jose. She's also one of our Qigong instructors, making a difference. So let's hear from Christine. She's a single mom of twins who was working as a police officer and changed her life path with Qigong teacher training. And not only that, but she also improved her health. That's where it started. Christine actually first started to come in as a patient with health issues and such. And then what happened from there, she started to see that transformation. And then she started taking the Qigong classes, and then the Qigong teacher training, and then now she's out there. She's running the clinic. She took over the Morning Crane Clinic up there in San Jose, California, and is up there in the Bay Area also teaching classes. So let's check out what Christine has to say.
Hello, everybody. My name is Christine, and I started this journey with Chris and Parisa in 2015. It's been a long journey. Yeah, I invested so much time into you guys, and you guys have invested so much time into me, so I'm so appreciative of everything that I've learned, everything that I've experienced. You guys have brought a different window and light into my life, not only my life but my kids, and it's definitely been a life changer for me. Like I said, I started as a client, coming in lost. I didn't know what to expect, and then I became a teacher. I'm learning and meeting more people. Now I'm with you guys as a curative, and it's been very interesting, and the journey has been amazing. It had its ups and downs, and I'm so glad you guys never gave up on me. I appreciate it because I've gone through so much with you guys. You know, I had lost my mom. I was going through a lot. And I never, you guys kept me going. Chris has been my mentor, babe. Basically, everything you guys have learned, taught me, I have grasped and used and utilized. I do cupping, I do massage, I implement a lot of the things that I've learned into the services that I provide. And I teach classes, and then now I'm jumping into doing the Spanish conversion of this practice that I really, really want to focus on and hone in on, because
The Spanish-speaking community.
yeah, because that's a community that comes from me, from my culture, my life, and who I am as a person and where I come from. And I really want to dive into that and help. It was rough. It's been rough times. And I'm so glad you guys pushed me and you guys saw something in me that I probably would never be able to see in myself. And I'm so appreciative of that. You guys gave me this opportunity to take on a business, and that's a whole another aspect of this journey. It's the beginning of all of this, and I don't know where it's going to lead to next, but I know it's going to change lives, and I know it's changed my life, and I hope it changes others the way that it's changed me. So I love you guys.
Love you too.
I love everybody here.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Christine. Now let's talk about specific tools people can use when they're feeling stuck or overwhelmed.
Specific tools like craftsman tools?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes, let's break this down into some practical steps. Here's a powerful protocol that can shift your mental emotional state almost immediately. It's pretty quick. I call this practice the anxiety release protocol. One of my favorite practices is shaking the tree. That's one of my favorite practices to do. The second one is the heart healing sound by connecting to heart 9 on the end of the pinky of the acupuncture point at the end of that heart acupuncture meridian.
Okay, so let's demonstrate to us shaking the tree. What's some tips? I know it involves some shake and bake, but
yeah, one of my favorite practices is this practice I call shaking the tree, because we're one of the only animals or mammals on land that does not shake it off when something happens. If that dog is happy to see you or that dog is angry, that dog will shake from head to toe. Two ducks get into a fight. The fight lasts a few seconds. They swim around the pond. Next thing you know, that you see them flapping their wings violently. Why? Because they're conscious enough to know that they have this vibration inside their body. Now, I'm not a duck or a dog. Well, I was born in a dog year, but I'm assuming they may not know that it's anger, but they feel this vibration. And so instead of holding on to it like us humans do, they shake it off, or they violently flap their wings. If they held on to it like us humans do, they swim around the pond waiting for Bob to come around to pop them in the beak. Okay, so this is the key. And I've had to use this practice over and over and over again. So just because I've been doing this over 30 years doesn't mean that I don't have any life challenges, family drama, none of that kind of stuff. In fact, probably the family drama is where I shake the tree the most.
right, exactly.
Just being honest, I don't get too affected by what's going on in the media and all that kind of stuff, but it's the family stuff I know for us that really, it's like, oh my gosh, people pull it together. So what you could do is that you go into another room, and when you're feeling this vibration, because it's okay if you still have the thought, but when you're feeling that vibration, that suppression creates the depression, creates the anxiety, creates the sleep disorders, creates the digestive disorders. So you go into another room, and what you're going to do is you're going to start with their fingers and roll all the way up.
Like that?
Yeah, just let it go. And
Can you
really
do this sitting too?
Sure, you can do a sitting, yeah. But if you can't stand, and you have no physical handicaps, if you can stand, then stand and do this, because you want to go up from head to toe. But even if you do have some physical limitations, and even let's say you can't move that well, just visualizing that you're shaking it off, shaking off all that negative tension, whatever somebody said to you, just visualizing and thinking it is also good too. But yes, you can do this from a seated position, and the key though is that you have to relax.
You have to relax.
Relax is relaxing with this practice. If you're going and shaking the tree and you're self-conscious of you moving like this, yeah, you might break something or create more inflammation inside your body. Now again, this practice, you may have to do, let's say somebody says something that's really negative to you, or you see something that's just really troubling. So maybe you are watching the news, or maybe you are on social media and you see something that's very troubling to you. When the thought comes in, and you think about it, when you feel that angst inside the body, that's when you shake it off. So throughout the day, if you feel that, it's one thing just to have the thought. Again, it's one thing just to have the thought, but when you have that vibration inside the body, that's when you have to shake it off. And you may have to do it several times in a row just to make sure that you got that cleared out. And then this is This is a very powerful practice.
Very powerful.
You can take it with you anywhere, and it will help to transmute, instead of you suppressing, again, suppression equals depression. It'll help to stop the depression
Anxiety.
and the anxiety and the health disorders that come up that create inflammation when we push down what we're feeling. Especially anger. Anger and resentment is probably the biggest one.
Which will create anxiety for the upcoming situation at hand.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, show us Heart 9, and then yesterday we did do the heart healing sound, so talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so the heart is the emperor, empress of the body. It dictates how much of an emotion is going to be expressed or suppressed. So if you get upset, if you're grieving the loss of a loved one or a breakup, some people feel like they lost something with these previous elections or whatever. The heart takes the brunt. And so whether you're grieving, you have anxiety, you have worry, whatever it is, then what I want you to do is I want you to focus on that, whatever that emotion is. Like we just had all these fires here in LA and there's complete devastation. I mean, it's mind-blowing the amount of devastation. And you could just feel it in the air, just the overwhelm of despair, desperation. And the nice thing though is that what I noticed with the folks here in Los Angeles is that people are coming together. A lot of times people think that us folks here in LA are separate. No, what I saw here in both Altadena and the Palisades fire is that people really they came together to help and still are coming together to help. So
Thanks to people like you.
yes, I do like to donate, yeah. So, but anyways, you're gonna pull the pink cloud into the heart center, and then as you exhale, like we talked about in yesterday's episode, we make the ha sound. Now, to make this even more powerful, then we're going to tap on to heart 9. Now that's on the inner corner of the pinky here, and all you do is you just take your thumbs and you gently press. Our heart acupuncture meridian actually emerges from the armpit here, travels all the way down the arm. Here's heart 3 here at this crease, and then all the way down to heart 9 right here. And you, as you press heart 9, make the sound. And like what we talked about yesterday, you could also do this underneath your breath. So let's say you're sitting at a stoplight and you're feeling anxious about something, feeling angry about something, you're sad about something. You could sit there at the stoplight and do it audibly or inaudibly. And once again, if we do it underneath our breath, then it's. So if you're in public, you're obviously not going to probably make that sound out loud. Well, certain parts of LA you get away with it down here, or San Francisco. But anyways, by tapping into heart 9 here, a lot of the clients of mine that I've given this practice to, it's helped them with their anxiety. And this goes from children to adults. So there's no age barrier.
It's so powerful.
Yeah, everybody benefits.
Now, does it matter if you bend your elbows or if you keep your elbows straight?
It doesn't matter. You just don't want to be rigid while you're doing it. So you just, like you're going to sit into or you're going to sit into a horse stance, like you're going to get ready to punch, right? No, we want to be able to be relaxed. Just gently press. It doesn't have to be a hard press. Here's heart 9. And I talk about this also in my new book, Chris Shelton's Easy Guide to Emotional Wellbeing with Qigong as well, too. There's a lot of practices in there for different emotional conditions and mental conditions and how to alleviate. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. Very helpful. Can you please explain how these practices work from both an Eastern and a Western perspective?
Research has shown that these movements and breathing techniques help to, first and foremost, reduce cortisol, which is a stress hormone, which also is responsible for weight gain. And then also, too, levels of increased serotonin and dopamine. So on the opposite end, reduces the cortisol, increases the serotonin and dopamine, which is the happy feel-good hormones. That's why people drink, is because they get that immediate dopamine dump. It activates also what is known as the parasympathetic nervous system. This is the part of our nervous system that is responsible for things we take for granted like rest and digest. Helps to increase heart rate variability and also brain chemistry naturally. And this has been published in Stanford,
all kinds of journals. Just go to PubMed and search benefits of Qigong and it'll pop up.
So this is why people a lot of times feel immediate relief with consistent practice. Then comes up is lasting transformation. So first is the purging part, the refinement part, and then the lasting transformation.
Thank you so much. Now let's address some of the questions that came up after our first session. So for someone who's feeling stuck, who's feeling anxious or depressed, looking to step into more joy and abundance, how long does it take to feel better?
Everybody's different, but many people will feel shifts almost immediately. I mean, after the day one of doing the practices. But for lasting change, we typically recommend, in order to see significant improvements, is about 21 days on average. And like I said, everybody is different, but that's with consistent practice, 10 or 15 minutes. The key is having the right techniques and the proper guidance. Now, again, we're not just doing the Qigong because it feels good. We're doing it because we're trying to improve our health and our mental, emotional well-being.
Thank you so much. So what about people who have tried everything?
Everything, like what?
Like all the things, like they've been working at trying to feel better for a long time and they still feel like poop. What would you say to someone like that?
Okay, so that's the beautiful thing about Qigong is that it works differently than conventional approaches. Instead of just trying to manage symptoms, we're addressing the root cause by restoring the natural energy flow within the body. Even people that say that they've tried everything find often that they have a major breakthrough by practicing Qigong. I know that's what happened with me, and that's the reason why I love talking and teaching about this stuff, is because of the transformational effects that it's had on me. But also, too, I have over 10,000 patient hours now, and all the countless students I've taught from around the world. So it's
So powerful.
truly remarkable.
Can you also please share how people can integrate these practices into their daily life in order to help other people?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a 3-step protocol. First and foremost, you have to identify what your emotional triggers are.
Okay.
You know, what is it? Write them out, speak them into a recording or whatever, but you have to figure out what those triggers are. Then what you do is you utilize these specific Qigong techniques in the moment. So as it comes up, whether it's shaking the tree, doing the heart healing sound with pressing on heart 9. And then 3, transform the challenging situation into opportunity for growth. Okay, so speaking about using these Qigong practices for growth and being able to really work through and let stuff go. Several years ago, we had a situation because I was the power of attorney for my father, and I was his caregiver as well too. And it was a Wednesday morning. We actually had a client from Chicago that was staying with us. I was mentoring. Wednesdays are pretty busy days. My father had gone in. He had had a toe operation to have his toe removed because of his diabetes. And so because he was away and he's had his house since the 1970s, I thought that would be a great opportunity while he's in the hospital to have his kitchen remodeled. So I sent an email out to the family, letting them know Dad's condition, blah, blah, blah. And here's also too, I decided to pull the plug about remodeling my dad's kitchen. So anyways, on this Wednesday morning, we're busy. Things are going on, getting ready for classes. I'm cooking breakfast in the morning. And my oldest daughter actually had texted me. She said, "Is it okay if I punch Uncle in the face?" And I said, "Sure." But I said, "But why?" And then my wife came in, Parisa came in. She had an early morning Pilates client. She goes, "Oh my God, did you see that email from your brother?" So my older half brother had written this totally condescending, accusatory email threatening to have me kicked off the trust, all kinds of stuff, because I dare to think about my dad's needs, right? And so most people, they just would have responded. The old Chris years ago would have responded with some kind of, intense email, right? Defending my position or whatever. But instead what I did was I did this shaking the tree practice several times. And throughout the day, whenever the thought would come up of that email and what was said, then what I would do is I just stop and I'd shake it off. Boom, shake it off several times. And guess what? I got the vibration out of me to where even if I had the thought, it wasn't triggering me just the same. And so what I did in that situation was I didn't even respond, because what I realized is you can't respond to craziness. So that's an example of how to utilize these practices. And that's the thing too, is that some people think, well, Chris, you've been doing this for over 30 years. You must have no life situations or drama whatsoever. I'm like, oh my God, yes I do. And I think almost sometimes because of what I do for a living, the universe or God throws more things at me to say, okay, how are you going to address this? Are you going to apply the very practices that you're teaching, that you also teach in your teacher training program, to help people transmute and transform themselves to be the best version of themselves? So this is such a great practice. And once again, it's such a simple practice with profound results.
Wow, I do remember that time, and so grateful to have these practices to literally shake it off when family members act less than appropriate.
Like children.
Yeah, those thinking about registering for the program but aren't feeling quite worthy or qualified, what would you say to someone feeling that way?
Well, first and foremost, our Qigong teacher training program is one of the most comprehensive programs out there. And up to this point, we've really been talking about how do we apply it to ourselves. But if you feel called, and this is what's happened with so many of our instructors, is that they had no inquiry, like they had no thought of,
They were signing up for deeper
yeah,
self-discovery.
they're signing up for their own self or personal development. They weren't even thinking about teaching, and then realized like, oh wow, I have this gift, and now I'm going to pass it forward. So if that resonates with you, one of the great things about our teacher training program is that there's a step-by-step system of support that we give to the instructors. So it's not only about the forum, the continuing forum. You also have access to us as well too. And the nice thing is that we have, because of our government contracts, our contracts with the VA, stuff like that, working with the Special Olympics, there's a lot of teaching opportunities. And so if you want to make this into a part-time vocation or add on to what it is that you're already doing, so let's say you're a clinical psychologist, for example, these are great practices to add on to what you already apply to your clients on a daily or to your patients on a daily. Just another modality in order to be able to help people transmute what has gone on in their life or continues to go on. Exactly. And so again, I mean, just to wrap it up here on that question, is that the way that the structure of the program is that you don't have to be the master instructor. And that's the mistake. And one of my editors, she said this to me when I was writing my back book. She said, perfection is the enemy of done. And it's really the truth. Because once I was where you're at, I was a student, right? But once I started teaching, guess what? That helped to integrate more the practices in my life. Like I understood it at a deeper level. Why? Because people or students would ask me specific questions. I'd be like, oh, I never looked at it from that perspective before.
Right.
And even if I didn't know the answer, I then would
research
to research deeper. This is something that calls you. The nice thing is first and foremost, you have our support. We have hundreds of successful teachers out there that have completed this program. And again, perfection is the enemy of done. You just need to start doing the practices.
Just take the next best step.
Start doing the practices yourself. Start to transmute and transform your own life, and then if you feel called to it, then you could definitely help somebody else.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. How about the investment in the program? Some people may be questioning the value and whether it's actually worth it.
Well, again, first and foremost, we have this is one of the most comprehensive teacher training programs out there. In fact, there's certain individuals out there that are attaching their commercials to my YouTube page. So I must be doing something right. There must be something about the program that's working. But also, too, the reality is that it's an investment into yourself. And one of my favorite keynote speakers, and he's also a mentor on talking about personal development, financial independence, those types of things, Jim Rohn. And Tony Robbins studied with Jim Rohn. There's so many people that studied with Jim Rohn. I love Jim Rohn. And one of the things that he says is that if you have a book about how to prevent a heart attack, the money that you're paying for that, the $19.99 that you're paying for that or whatever, is paying for the publishing, is paying for the ink, is paying for the paper. But if you have a book that can help prevent a heart attack, you can't even put a price tag on that. And that's the same thing with Qigong in this teacher training program, is that there's no price tag that you could put on your health and your wellness and your vitality. We're all supposed to live to be about 120 years old on average. That's how long we're supposed to live. And that's not dying with chronic pain and disease until the day you transition. That's when you get to that place of transition, that's transitioning in a very peaceful, harmonious way. So the whole idea here is, for us, and this is what pushes me every day to get this stuff out there, is I want people to really be able to live their ultimate best life, free from pain, free from mental suffering and anguish, but really give the tools to empower you to live your life to the fullest. I mean, that's powerful, and there's no price tag that you can put on that. So for those of you that are questioning the value, once again, it's the value of your life and your well-being. And that there's no price tag, again, that you could put on that. I mean, I am very blessed. We are very blessed. Considering what I came from and where I am now, oh my gosh, it is such a blessing. And it's because of these practices that I am where I am today.
Wow.
That's for sure.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, when we feel good, we take it for granted.
Yeah, and that resonates. That's a vibration. If you're feeling good, then that's a vibration. People feel that vibration. They want to be around you, Right. You start to attract more money, more abundance. And that's the thing too, I guess, to go back to the value part of it. You'll be surprised if you're feeling good, if you're feeling healthy, if you're feeling mentally clear, no matter if you're teaching Qigong or you have another job or something like that, you'll start to see that your financial abundance and abundance in all aspects of your life starts to increase as well too, because as your vibration increases, you get rid of the blockages and allows for this vibration of abundancy
to fill in.
And abundancy is all different forms. It's not just, we're not just talking about money and finances. We're talking about our health, our relationships, how we show up,
our fulfillment, our purpose,
how life shows up for us. And you'll be surprised when you're in the flow. You definitely will know.
The holy flow, baby. Wow, that was some deep thoughts about joy and abundance. Thank you so much. Now, in our next session, we'll put all these pieces together. You'll discover a complete system for emotional well-being, how to maintain your progress, ways to deepen your practice, and options for sharing these gifts with others if you feel called.
Yeah, that's for sure. And so we invite you to, first and foremost, try the anxiety release protocol that I talked about today. Second, notice how different you feel afterwards. Like do an inventory of how you feel before, do an inventory of how you feel afterwards. 3, share your experiences in the comments below, okay? And then 4, join us tomorrow for our next session where we will reveal the complete picture. And remember, feeling stuck, anxious, or depressed isn't your natural state of beingness. These are simple signs that your chi is not flowing optimally. And that's what Qigong gives us, is the ability to have our chi flowing optimally. With the right tools and guidance, you can return to your natural state of joy, happiness, and complete vitality. And if you're resonating with this message, and if you're feeling that, I don't know, that little je ne sais quoi, the spark of hope, trust that it's your inner wisdom recognizing a path. And this could be the spark that you need, that you've been looking for in order to get unstuck. So we'll see you at our next session where we will show you how to make these transformations permanent. And until next time,
Until next time,
we will chi you later.